What's up, everyone? Jason Gelbo here with Rob Mazika, taking a look at tonight's 10-game NBA slates. We were talking beforehand. I kind of had a wider range of picks than you did. You were pretty narrow tonight.
Yeah, I'm narrow tonight. It's just a lot of tough matchups for teams where I typically find value on. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with being narrow, nothing wrong with being wide. Personally, I always narrow the field very deep just because that's what I do and I mass multi-enter. But it's a great slate tonight, 10 games. We're gonna do a new format tonight and go game by game and see how it goes.
Yeah, definitely a little bit easier to kind of break down here, and we'll jump into Cleveland and Atlanta. 214 total there. Cavs 3-point favorites. This game on TV. Basically two guys jump out for me on the Cavs, and obviously that's their studs, Irving and James. I like Irving's price tag on DraftKings a lot. 8,400 is really reasonable when you compare him to kind of some of those other options.
Yeah, Irving's price on DraftKings is really good. 8,400. He's been playing well. Schroeder's the second worst defending point guard in the league. It should be a good game for him. I like LeBron as well. He tends to just really show up on these national TV games, just like the other night against Boston. He gets triple doubles pretty much every time he's on national TV. And then on the other side in Atlanta, I like Dwight Howard just because I feel like this is a game where he'd be motivated to perform.
Howard's always a guy who's just either on or completely off. And I think, as far as correlation in this game, this is one of the few where I don't really have any on the Atlanta side. I mean, I'm not really in on Millsap. Schroeder, I can see in a GPP, but outside of that, I'm not really interested in those secondary players.
Same here. And I just have one secondary guy in the Cavs, Kyle Korver revenge game tonight. I think it's his first game against his former team in Atlanta. The team's going to be behind him tonight. They're probably going to give him a nice standing ovation, and he's going to really want to perform.
Cheap guy. Obviously it's just basically if his shot's falling because he doesn't really rack up any peripheral stats. I don't know if I'll be going with him. I mean, I like the matchup for him, but I'm not really interested in paying all that much down at shooting guard.
Yeah, I mean, I like him if I'm multi-entering tonight, which I probably am. 4,100 is not a bad price on him for DraftKings. FanDuel maybe a little too much, but he's been hot lately. He's been shooting the ball well, with the exception of last game. He could definitely put on the show tonight for his old team.
And outside of that, I mean, basically no one here. Knicks Philly next one, 217. Knicks a point favorite. I like this one a lot. I feel like really the Knicks are fairly underpriced, I guess you could say. Looking at some of these guys, Derrick Rose, mid-range, he's been playing big minutes since Brandon Jennings was cut or waived. Porzingis played center last night, and that was kind of an interesting situation because Kyle O'Quinn was, projected starter for most of the day, and then we saw Lance Thomas come in and Porzingis moved to the 5.
Yeah, I like Porzingis tonight. I even like O'Quinn tonight, too. I like both of them. With the GOAT out, Hernan Gomez will most likely out tonight. They're going to be minutes to go around with the bigs and the Knicks, and I mean, everyone was on O'Quinn the other night. He was a chalk, and he barely got any minutes. But this is definitely a matchup that he's exploited before, and he could do it again.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm looking at basically both those guys still. O'Quinn's, not off my radar because of last game. This is obviously a rotation in the front court that has been mishandled at times this year anyway. But Carmelo Anthony's, 7,500 on DraftKings isn't a bad price. I feel like he's a bit overpriced on FanDuel at 81. And Rose continues to sit in that mid-range. I think he's a safe option right now.
I like Melo in this matchup. He tends to play well against the division. Only concern is that he's on the road, and he shoots a lot better when he's in the Garden. I like Okafor and Saric, the bigs on the Sixers as well. They're just two players who've been – Okafor has been playing like crap lately. I don't know if you saw the video of him just standing there playing defense and saying – with the caption saying, "This is why Philly hates you." But Saric, he's been playing amazing since the Noel trade and Embiid went down, and Okafor should get the minutes tonight as well.
Yeah, I mean, Okafor is always a GPP guy. And Holmes behind him. I mean, when Okafor gets into foul trouble or is just completely off of his game, Holmes is a guy who's going to come in and pick up minutes. I don't mind them both in tournaments, one or the other. But I think for me, Saric is obviously basically your safe option in that front court. And I don't even mind, Covington tonight too. I know the price is up, but good matchup against the Knicks. He's been playing really well. He's been really consistent.
Yeah, price is a little high for me, but it's still a good spot.
Yeah. Moving on here, Miami and Orlando, 208. Miami is 4-point favorites. The only real injury news here in this one, Deion Waiters questionable for tonight's game. That would open up some room here for some cheap shooting guards. And I think if Waiters is out, this is one of the reasons I wasn't really on Corver. I'd rather use a Richardson or an Ellington.
Yeah, see, I'd rather use Corver just for the narrative, but the Magic, they play at a really slow pace. So I don't have a problem with those two guys. The main guys looking towards this game though are Evan Fournier, Vucevic, and Hassan Whiteside. Fournier has just owned the Heat his entire career. He just always plays well against them for some reason. Same with Vucevic. And Whiteside, I just don't see a way Orlando can contain him.
Yeah, Whiteside gives you a kind of a different look because he is on the more expensive side. 8,800 on FanDuel. DK a little bit more reasonable. I don't mind using him there. And obviously, as you said, basically both those centers, even though Whiteside is one of those better shot blockers, he hasn't been, terrific against defending centers, especially ones that are a little bit more mobile.
Yeah, I think he just tries to block the shot so much that he gives up a lot of points to opposing centers.
Yeah. Terrence Ross, I'm kind of off the train. I think there are better options with, TJ Warren, Brandon Ingram tonight.
I agree. His price is just a little high for me.
So, Toronto, Washington, this next one here, 206. Toronto just went and laid out basically a dud last time these two faced. DeRozan didn't hit off that price tag. I think we see a better performance even though Toronto's on the road here. And DeRozan's price did drop a little bit. I'm still back on him. Not a must play like he was kind of the previous nights.
I think he's still a cash game play for me on the slate tonight. His price is up there, but with Lowry out, he really picks up the slack, and it's a matchup against Washington he could do well in.
Yeah, 40% usage rate when Lowry sits this season. He's been phenomenal. Corey Joseph, obviously he's picked up minutes. We haven't really seen anything great out of him since he's come in. Tough matchup there. Washington is top 10 against point guards. For me, I'd rather use like a McConnell, or honestly, I'd rather just spend an extra 1,000 to 1,500 and go into that mid range.
Yeah, he's just in that price point where I just really don't have much interest in him. His ceiling, it hasn't really been high lately. You're going to get about 20 fantasy points from him, but that's about it.
And on the Washington side, I feel like a lot of these prices are a little bit off. I don't mind Bradley Beal. He's been playing really well of late. John Wall's a little bit more expensive than I'd like. I do prefer kind of just either paying up for Westbrook, or I do like Isaiah Thomas, who we'll talk about later.
Same here. Personally, I just think the entire Washington team is priced too high, with the exception of Gortat, but he's a safe cash game play. You're going to get between 25 and 30 fantasy points from him, but that's it.
Yeah, and I think obviously he's more DK than anything.
Yep, definitely.
Clippers and Bucks next one here. Clippers obviously got thrashed against Houston last time out. 108 total, 211 on the game here. They are just 5-point favorites. You think that with Chris Paul back, it kind of makes a lot of these guys untouchable just because it shores up that defense.
Yeah, it's just for me, with Chris Paul back and the entire Clippers team is healthy right now. I think they're going to get back to being an elite defensive team, one of the top in the league. And I really just don't have much interest in the Milwaukee side.
I like Middleton a little bit here. Has been playing off the bench. I was actually surprised to see his minutes become what they have been of late. Played 30, 28, 24, 26 over the last 4 games. Coming off a great game against Denver. Obviously, this is still one of the players that we saw last year be a great fantasy producer. I don't mind him in GPPs. I don't trust the rotation still, but obviously it's not a great matchup on paper. I think he's just more correlation.
Yeah, definitely in tournaments. His price is getting up there. It might be a little high for his minutes, but the way he could perform, definitely a tournament consideration.
Yeah, and on the other side, Chris Paul in play for me. I think he's actually a pretty good swerve off of some of those other names because I don't think he's going to draw as high ownership. And Blake Griffin continues to play well. And because I'm not really on Cousins or Davis tonight, I think he's the top power forward option.
Yeah, Griffin's definitely the top power forward option for me. Milwaukee, they just really struggle at containing big men, and Blake Griffin's one of the most dominant ones in this league, and he can just dunk all over them all game.
Yeah, really versatile. Peripheral numbers are always up. This is a guy who will tack on, 5, 6 assists at times. I do have some interest in DeAndre Jordan, just because Milwaukee is a bottom 10 rebounding team, more so on DK, just at 7,000.
Same here. DraftKings only 7,000, and you get that double bonus if you can get it.
Yeah, definitely. Memphis, Dallas, next one, 190, lowest total on the night here. I only have one interest, and that's probably Seth Curry, just because he's been playing really well. And with Wes Matthews out, he's probably going to log a ton of minutes again. And obviously it's not a great matchup on paper, but I still don't mind just in comparison to the other guys in this range.
Yeah, I'm out in this game. No one for me, really.
Yeah, I mean, with a total like that on a 10-game slate, there's really no reason to dive down into. Marcus All in a good spot, but I think there's better pay up options to target.
Exactly. That's the same way I'm looking at it. And a 190 total, I just cross it off.
Yeah. Brooklyn, Utah here, and obviously Utah, great matchup on paper. 206 total, monster 109 total for Utah, significantly above what they score on average this season. Basically, I'm looking at a lot of these guys' value and top pay up options. I don't mind paying here for basically everyone in the starting five.
Can we just say almost an entire Utah Jazz team? You got the starting five and then players on the bench like Alec Burks, who are a great value as well.
Yeah, I mean, Ingles, Burks, those guys are going to be getting a bump in minutes with Hood likely out tonight. George Hill's always a good GPP play. You just never know with that floor of his, though, so definitely stick to tournaments. Rudy Gobert, only 7,300 on DraftKings. I feel like he's a great price. And even on FanDuel, I don't mind using him just because he's in a really good spot.
Gobert's my favorite option at center tonight in general, especially on DraftKings. The Nets, he's just going to own this team. Brook Lopez, one of the worst rebounding big men I've ever seen. I think Gobert is just a guaranteed double-double tonight and possibly 15 and 15 upside.
How do you feel about Favors? I mean, I was kind of back and forth on him. The minutes have been kind of consistent here of late. I mean, 27, 24, 26 since the break. And this guy's, finally starting to produce like he kind of used to.
The minutes are always a question. They're starting to trend upwards, though, and this is the team that drafted him and traded him away. So that is some extra motivation. I think it's a good tournament play. I wouldn't touch him in cash, but if you think you can get the 27, 28 minutes like he's been getting, definitely a good tournament play.
Yeah, I think he kind of needs to hit that. I mean, we've seen him go 29, 33, 26 outside the game against OKC where he struggled. And obviously this is a matchup where he should be able to get, 7, 8 rebounds as well.
Yeah, I could honestly see a way where literally the entire starting lineup for Utah hits their value.
Yeah, I really think so. I mean, we don't usually tend to see Brooklyn or, teams against Brooklyn priced like this, and these are all mid-range options.
Yep, and I actually think this game stays closer than Vegas thinks. I still think Utah might win by maybe 8 or 9, but Vegas thinks they're going to win by 13, 14 points. And I just think Brooklyn, with Jeremy Lin back, they keep it slightly closer.
Yeah, and with that being said, I mean, even with them probably keeping it close, I just think the rotation is way too deep for me to really consider anyone, especially in that matchup as well.
Exactly.
So, OKC Phoenix, 225 total here on the night. This is a big one, and this is one we'll be looking at a lot of options in.
Play Westbrook. Just play him. He's destroyed the Suns team. In 2 games, he's averaging 85 DraftKings points against them. It's insane. He's going to come lower owned than he should because he's 13K. But honestly, if you're paying that much and the guy's going to get you a 100-point upside, why wouldn't you even take that chance in tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand why you'd fade him tonight. I know there's not a lot of great punt value to go with him, but great matchup. I just seem like you plug him in, you make him fit with a lot of mid-range guys, though.
Yeah, I mean, on DraftKings, I could see going the balance approach in cash maybe, just because you're a little scared of his floor. I mean, he's got about a 55-point fantasy point floor at 13K. I mean, that might not cut it for you, and you might want to go to balance approach. But I could see that. But in tournaments, I think you just have to play this guy. He has the most upside of anyone on the slate. I know the price is high, but it's worth it.
Yeah, it really is. And obviously a great matchup against a fast-paced Phoenix team. And as you said, the history has just been phenomenal. As far as other Thunder options, I have a little interest in Cantor tonight, who's played really well off the bench again, 30-plus DK points in 3 straight games. With that total there, I mean, Thunder 114. I don't see points coming from Abrinas, Roberson, Sabonis. I don't. So it's got to come from some of these bench guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's really Westbrook and Cantor for me on the Oklahoma City side. Cantor actually had a good game last time out. He's been scoring the ball a little better. He had 18 points last night, 15 points game before, 20 the game before that. So he's been scoring well, getting involved in the offense since he's been healthy now, since he's not, hitting any chairs. But Westbrook and Cantor are really my only options.
Yeah, I mean, Taj Gibson, 3,800. I don't mind taking a stab at just because it is a really cheap price for someone who's going to play 25-plus minutes against this Phoenix team.
And maybe he'll hit another Aaron Rodgers full-court shot.
Yeah, I mean, that was a nice, 5.5 point swing there.
That was insane.
So, Phoenix side of things, I don't mind these guys. I think some of them are at really nice prices. TJ Warren's the guy that I'm looking at, been really consistent. Not worried about the back-to-back minutes or back-to-back just because he didn't play over 30 minutes last night. And since the trade deadline, since Tucker's been gone, Warren's been a consistent cash game guy.
Yeah, I'm on a lot of these role players for Phoenix. I think Bledsoe's price might be a little high for me on both sites. I mean, it's a good matchup against Westbrook. But these guys like Marquise Chris, TJ Warren, Devin Booker, they're all reasonably priced, and they all should be have a decent shot at hitting their value with a little bit of upside.
Yeah, and a guy that I'm, for a punt and obviously tournament only is Tyler Eulis, who's, played 23, 17 minutes last two games, has put up 22 and 24 DK points. I don't think you need him over on FanDuel, but DraftKings, if you're paying him with Westbrook, that's obviously, a combined, 16,000 basically. So, in that game, I mean, it's a relatively high total. I think with the rotations kind of shaping its way towards the younger players, Knight Chandler being out, I think you can take, basically these Suns rotational guys and plug them into safer minutes.
I agree. Eulis is a good 3K punt along with Alec Burks in the game before. So honestly, you can go Westbrook, Alec Burks, and Tyler Eulis and only spend 19K on three players and have Westbrook as one of those players. It's definitely a good option to go.
Yeah, so I mean, those are the cheaper guards that you really need to be looking at tonight.
Yep.
Spurs Pelicans next one here, 206. Spurs just 6-point favorites. Only one guy in for me, and that was Kawhi Leonard. And more than just GPPs. I think just because he always comes in rather low owned, and we know the upside that he has.
Yeah, he's got the upside. I'm personally not on anyone in this game, though. It's just, I mean, it's a Spurs game. I typically don't use players against the Spurs, and it's very rare that I use players on the Spurs.
Yeah, and even with Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins there, the only thing that does is take me off Pau Gasol. I think Pau Gasol's been playing really well, but I probably won't be using him tonight.
Yeah, same. I could see an argument for using Davis or Cousins in a tournament, though, just because they have upside and they'll be low owned, but it's too tough of a matchup for me.
Yeah, same here. Next one, Boston and LA to cap off the night. I mean, no better game to kind of end the night with here than basically one where you're expecting a lot of fantasy production and actually a lot of decent price tags on this Lakers team.
I like a lot of guys in this game. We'll talk about the Lakers first. I like D'Angelo Russell. I like Julius Randle, Brandon Ingram, just a few to mention. Randle coming off that huge game the other night. I'm not sure if we see a repeat performance, but it's definitely a spot where he could repeat it.
Yeah, I mean, we saw Russell torch the Celtics earlier this season. I think that can happen again. Obviously, point guards against Isaiah Thomas is always a promising matchup. Julius Randle, I think the price is reasonable for him to go after tonight. Decent spot against a bad rebounding team. I've also seen him fall flat way too many times. I don't think I can touch Randle in cash, even though I do like the matchup a lot.
I think I still might be able to, just because he plays really well at home throughout the season. He averages about seven more fantasy points at home than he did on the road. But that's just, I have a higher risk tolerance than most people.
And Brandon Ingram, obviously this guy's playing monster minutes. He needs those monster minutes to even hit some sort of value because he isn't a great fantasy points per minute player. But, I don't mind plugging him in just because he's still on the cheaper side.
Man, he's so bad. He 3 for 10 last game in 42 minutes and 20 fantasy points. Like, come on, man. You're supposed to be a top pick, but if his price is going to stay this low, I'm going to have to keep playing him.
Yeah, I mean, with that total, I still think, one, because I don't intend to really pay up a ton at small forward anyway, I am going to lead towards that range.
Especially on FanDuel, where it's only 3,800. Like, come on.
Yeah, especially on the Westbrook slate. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why we're talking about him a little bit more.
Yeah, I hate this guy, but it just forces me to do it.
On the Boston side, I mean, I'm only really looking at two guys, Isaiah Thomas in a good spot, and Al Horford. I know this guy's been basically a horrible producer outside of the last game where he hit a near triple-double. But I think the price is cheap. Great matchup. Lakers bottom half in rebounding too. I think Horford comes out and puts up a decent game.
I think Horford's a safe option for both cash and tournaments. Doesn't have much of an upside. I mean, we saw the big game last game, but it was still only 40 fantasy points, which is still good at his price. I haven't pegged around like the 32 fantasy point mark tonight. And then Isaiah Thomas, the dude's a monster. Like, if it wasn't for Westbrook and Harden having their MVP like seasons, Thomas would be right there in the conversation. Great matchup against the Lakers. Loves the big stage. He could definitely pay off his price tag.
Yeah, I think so. And with Avery Bradley back, I'm kind of just off of Marcus Smart, Jake Crowder obviously had some big games here, over that span where he was out. I think we're going to see that dwindle down.
Yep.
So, anyone else on the Celtics side, or was that pretty much it, those two?
That's it. Just those two guys for me.
Yeah, same here. Who's your highest non-Westbrook scorer? Because I feel like that would be the easy answer.
That's not fair. Now I got to think a little bit. I'm going to go with LeBron, though, just because of that game on national TV. I think he might get a triple-double in this one. Historically, he's played well against Atlanta, maybe not this season, but in his career he has, and he gets up for the big stage.
I'm going to go a little bit off the wall. I feel like Rudy Gobert's going to post a monster game tonight.
Wow, I mean, I'd love it because he's going to be on a lot of my teams, but that's bold.
Yeah, I mean, I could just see, let's get 20 and 15 with about 5 blocks.
It's not out of the question.
So that's going to wrap it up here. Head on over to DaveFantasyCafe.com. Check out our great tools and content.
Yeah, good luck, everyone.